Apologies if we're running a little bit late, but welcome to the inaugural edition of the Exchange.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Woo! Happy
Yeah.
Friday, everybody. So, a little bit of background.
Yeah.
We do the podcast, we do webinars, we do all of those things. But what's kind of missing in the portfolio of the Greenbrook products is something a little more organic, something a little more off the cuff, and weekly, talking about news and issues that impact the industry and functioning as a way to kind of curate that and filter the signal from the noise. So Karen and I, we've been brainstorming about this for a while. What, gosh, Karen, almost a year, right?
Well, I think it started when you and I would have our weekly check-ins and we'd just start talking shop and chew up our whole one-on-one call time with like industry news and opinions and all of that. So it's sort of like, yeah, we should take this live. And then it became like, no, wait, maybe we really should.
Yes. So here we are now. Being researchers, please give us comments. Tell us what you think. This is an evolving initiative. So, and the ultimate goal is for it to meet the needs of the industry, not just what Karen and I think are cool.
Right.
So please give us feedback as we go, um, and we'll do our best to adapt and make this something that's really useful for all of you. So, and big shout out while I'm thinking about it to our producer Natalie. She's in the background. She's the one
Yeah.
clicking the buttons that kind of surprised us for a minute. Are we live?
Ah,
So
worried
thank you,
about
Natalie.
us?
Yeah,
Absolutely worried about us.
yeah, absolutely. Holding our hands as Karen and I
Yeah.
are like,
Yeah.
the other
And
big
also,
things.
can I just
Yes, please.
is just the idea that I know some people have said, why this time? We have European counterparts who are like, why this time? Because, might work really well for Lenny and I. It's noon East Coast time. But, Natalie's out in Seattle. That's 9 a.m. And we have European counterparts who are wrapping up their day. So we want it to be at the end of the week so that we can kind of talk about the week's news. But we also had to choose a time that somehow or another bridges the divide of time zones. So
Yeah,
certainly we can have feedback on that, but recognize we did the best we can to find something that could work for the most people.
absolutely. And as we said, this is adaptable. It may
Yeah.
shift. Maybe
Yeah.
after a couple of weeks we realize, well, 11 is better, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
So
and I think we can keep them there for people to play. I don't know how it works yet, Lenny, but like I think there's going to be an option for people to play it if they miss it. I don't know.
yes, there will be a playback. And on that note, right, we haven't exactly figured out where these will be housed within the Greenbook platform, but they will be. So
Yeah.
there will be a place where you'll be able to find these as we go.
Yeah. Design
Also,
thinking in action.
absolutely. And this is theoretically live streaming right now on our Twitter account and our YouTube account.
Theoretically. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
although I suspect most of you are watching this on LinkedIn. Okay. All right. So,
Shout out. We were going to
Karen,
start
you
with
are
a
the
shout out, Lenny.
moderator. Start the shout
Yes,
out.
I will.
Okay.
I will be moderating. We will be talking, and yet I will also be moderating because I can't help myself. But Lenny, we're going to start with a shout out. I'm going to let you take it away. What's if anybody's paying attention to their LinkedIn feed right now, you probably know where this is going. But Lenny, take it away with a shout out.
Yes. So, congrats to the new honorees of the Insights 250. Um, it's a lot of dear friends of ours on there. So certainly, we're not, there's 250. We're not going to give individual shout outs, but
Yeah.
to all of you, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Lots of our speakers, lots of our future list honorees, people that are in our ecosystem, pretty thick members of our community too. So we support you and applaud you.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Woohoo.
yeah,
So
good
there
stuff,
you
good
go.
stuff. All
All
right, let's
right.
start talking about some news, right? So I'm going to pitch out the topics. This is how we're setting this up. Again, full transparency. I'm probably going to throw out the topics, let Lenny riff, and then take it away. But we're going to talk about the Nielsen IQ and GfK merger. So Lenny, let's share just a little bit about kind of what it means for people paying attention, why that news release caught our eye.
Sure. Well, obviously, the biggest piece of it is there's now a big, massive company that arguably would be the largest research organization in the world, setting outside companies like IMS Health and some of those that arguably maybe a little bit bigger, but within the classical definition of a research organization. Um, but I think what's really, really interesting is Nielsen was public, GfK was owned by private equity. Nielsen went private, merged with GfK, and it shows that the level of interest and financial viability within the industry in a very, very big way.
Mm.
So, Ipsos, still a public company, doing well. Last I looked at their stock. Kantar, which was acquired by Bain, so a large private equity group. Now we have the Nielsen IQ and GfK, and we're going to see that continue. So now it'll be smaller companies. I mean, we may see those companies make some other acquisitions. So, but they're getting to a size where even this one had to be cleared by regulators. So we may not see them doing great big acquisitions because those are going to be regulatory headaches. But we will see other companies now going down that path. We just saw Taluna with Metrics Lab just a few weeks ago. That was a big old deal. What's next? So will we see the
Yeah.
consolidation in platforms?
Let me just stop you real quick to ask you a question. So, you say we're going to see more of this. Tell us
Mhm.
why, because I think there's some listeners that are not as versed in kind of mergers and acquisitions as you are and as we talk about. But why will we be seeing more of that happening?
So one is simply financial engineering. So looking for arbitrage opportunities and in synergies, cross-selling, upselling, those type of theses. That's one. Um, the pure consolidation. You bring customers that are buying from two different companies. Well, let's bring them together. That's just the financial component of that. But I think more importantly, and it looks at a pattern of the past few years, we saw a huge influx of venture capital and private equity money into the industry going into 2021, 2022,
Yeah.
because the industry rose in importance as during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knew what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
Research
About
was there to
anything,
help
let
answer
alone
the
this.
question. Yes. So we demonstrate our importance.
Yeah.
And a lot of organizations have, on the buyer side, have shifted in how they prioritize insights as part of the organization. So the industry just looks good
Yeah.
from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, and especially private equity, they like industries in disruption.
Yeah.
And we are certainly one of those as well. So
Facts.
lots of transformation.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where things go. We are seeing that there are if you look at MR Web, which by the way, shout out, right? If we're talking about news,
Yep.
we
Yep.
get a lot of that from Daily Research News Online. Great job, Nick. Um, a lot of smaller companies are making acquisitions as well. So it's not just the big guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We are seeing a lot of growth in the small to mid-sized market,
Yeah.
um, and deals being done there, and that goes up, right? As these
Yeah.
companies grow and grow in size, they become more attractive to larger companies, and that's just how it works. So, in
So
this,
speaking of
go ahead.
growth, I'm going to move you
Yep.
along into our next topic because, again, I'm going to move him
Yep.
along,
Yep.
folks. We're going to make sure I
All right.
reel
Yeah,
him
I
back
get
in.
going. I get going. Karen's got to crack the whip.
Listen, no, but we want to talk about what Cint is doing with their data licensing solution because it's a sign of growth for them. It's also an item of focus or of importance to our industry when it comes to kind of data quality and all of that jazz. So let's riff a little bit about that too and the importance of that. For those of you who don't know, we're talking about their new product or their new promotion of their Cint verified audiences. Lenny, why is that so important for people to be paying attention to?
So, it is a shift for. We're going to get into the dreaded AI here in a second. Because I think that's what's really at play. The sample has had a challenge in being kind of considered a commodity. Um, the being driven kind of to a low cost leader type of scenario, and we all know there's sample quality issues, and we've paid the price for some of those challenges. But as brands are now embracing tools that allow them to extract insights from larger data sets rather than just asking a question. Panels are in a really great position when they have verified opt-in data on individuals to effectively become a training set for AI and for brands to start exploring that existing data in ways without the need to ask a new survey question. So that licensing is a piece of that, and we've seen other companies do it. Um, there's companies like M4 and Disco, they have those type of deals already. We see, oh goodness, YouGov, another example. So lots of companies are realizing that in this new arena of AI that unlocks capabilities in leveraging data in new ways, that the panel asset itself is an ongoing monetization asset, not just something that is used to ask questions, but something that generates ongoing value by its existence as a data source.
Yeah, cool, cool. So let's shift to I know you said the dreaded AI,
I did.
and let me give some context for that
Take
because
a
Lenny and I
drink.
were like, we have to talk about yeah, drink. Yeah, all right, me too. Shout out to Starbucks for keeping us fueled. Anyway, we talked about the fact like we have to talk about it. The Smart Task Force, right, which is launching, which is something that else came up in the news this week. And, there's a part of us that's like, we're having our AI event. We talk about AI all the time here. Every about AI, but we also, so it's like we didn't want to lead with that, but we really have to talk about it. So, one of the articles that Lenny and I were kicking around internally this week was something called Chat GPT dependency disorder, which I think is really fascinating because as we start to rely on, oh, well, I say all the time, like, ask my good friend Chat. And like I type something in because I have these questions and sometimes it's giving me helpful information. Sometimes it's not helping me at all. Like, yeah, I knew that you didn't give me anything new. So I'm having very human interactions with it, sort of like I did with my Alexa downstairs, when I would ask, Alexa something and it would not give me a good answer. And I'm like, not helpful, Alexa. Anyway, so there's a lot going on there. We're getting dependent on it, but there's also these biases. Lenny, let's just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, your husband made a good point when I posted that on LinkedIn. Of the reality is, have we? There's big old questions, right? As humans, are we becoming too dependent on technology, and where the long term impacts of that? Sure, right. I
Yeah.
am a recovering Facebook addict. I
Yeah.
gladly, admit that. So so yes, there's that. But I think for us, the larger issue is it's garbage in, garbage out. And that is the challenge that we as an industry, and it ties into the synth idea. The AI is an amazing tool, and our industry is undergoing massive transformation as a result of that. Not just because of the efficiencies, but because in many ways it can it can replace some things that we currently do as research projects. But but we have to be incredibly careful that the data is good
Yeah.
and is not biased, and that gets into the concern around broader technology, even social media. Traditionally, we've been able to do social media analytics, but we knew that there was bias. If you're analyzing Twitter, you know that there's bias in Twitter, right? And
Yeah.
Twitter would
Yeah.
admit it. So,
Yep.
we could look at that. We could recognize what that audience was. With AI, that's a lot harder now.
Yeah.
So, right, it's synthesizing so much information from so many sources, and it may be accurate, but as researchers, we need to make sure that we are not relying upon a tool that is giving us erroneous information because the sources of the information have biases built into. You
And
know,
and the users, as we were saying earlier this morning, the users of it also have biases that come into
yes,
play with the way we ask questions. So it's, one of the things I think I shared with you was in the world of qualitative research, we have learned as qualitative researchers how you ask the question
hmm
matters. You
hmm
sometimes want to ask it in different ways to elicit different information. That's what's happening with prompt engineering. So,
yes,
our biases and how we ask questions to lead AI to give us answers that are helpful,
hmm
we have to be incredibly careful with our own researcher biases with the way we're using these tools right now and make sure that we're not prompting it to give us the intel that we want it to give us, our own confirmation biases, everything else. We need to check those at the door. It's going to be an
absolutely.
interesting time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so. You mentioned the SMR has launched their AI task force. Big shout out to them. Great. Hopefully, and I think maybe you and some other folks on the team have thrown their hats in the ring.
Raised hands. Yeah.
So these are important topics that we have to look at as an industry. This ship has sailed.
Yeah.
We're not stopping it.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
So, but we need to make sure it's fit for purpose, and that we are thinking about how we do this the right way. And there are just great big honking social and cultural issues that we have to grapple with. Remember when the advent of the mobile device and studies were showing, the brain plasticity of
Right.
kids. I mean, there are changes here that we can't, not necessarily our lane, but we do need to recognize uh, we bias, understand bias in data is our lane.
Oh my
And
gosh, I just have to say there was a meme that went around, certainly in my LinkedIn. I don't know if it was in everybody else's. In my algorithm, it showed me like it said like, students when teachers tell them they can't, they have to handwrite their homework and not rely on AI, and then they show like a handwriting machine like doing like
that's right.
artificially writing on their papers for them. Like our freaking kids are going to be so damn smart. Like anyway,
Yeah,
love it. I'm
absolutely. They'll
excited
be
for it.
Inventing robots now, which is coming too. Did you see the
Yeah,
thing? Was it
lot
last
coming.
weekend with the robots talking about? No, we're not going to take over the world. We're here to help you.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
it's
we'll
like,
see. Jury's out. Jury's out. Lenny, look, that's 20 minutes already. We
it
need to
is.
we need to wrap this one.
We
So
do.
feedback on also if you can share feedback on length. We're thinking we're going to wrap. We had said 10 to 15 minutes. Lenny and I cannot talk for, less than 30 to 60 minutes at a pop. It's really occupational challenges. So feedback on the length of time you want us to do this for, feedback on the format. Again, this is what we're planning to do. It's just like what are the probably 3 hot topics for the week. What are the stories we need to share? We'd love all that feedback, please, as we build something that works for you, keeps you in the know, and is fun to do.
Absolutely. So thank you. You did a great job. See, this is why Karen is a world-class moderator. We were so lucky to get her on
Stop. Oh,
the team.
stop.
Anyone that can moderate me, seriously, you're at the top of the game. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's fun. It's
but
fun. And you know what? And your brain is at the top of the game too. So, kudos to
yeah,
the pairing. It's a good
mutual,
thing.
yeah, mutual memory
Yeah.
society. So
Yeah.
that's it, audience. As Karen said, give us your feedback. This is going to be an evolving thing, but our plan is to do this every Friday at 12, and hope that you tune in. And we're going to get better at it as we go. And please participate. And thank you for your time.
Yep, for
Have a great
sure.
weekend.
See you all next week.